A man is sleeping on a park bench when suddenly two policemen wake him up, asking him to show his ID, but the man seems to have amnesia and doesn't know who he is. The policemen decide to take the man to the station, but in the next second, within a few seconds, the man knocks out the two policemen and skillfully disassembles their guns. The man has such skills, even he doesn't know it. The man's name is Jason Bourne, and he is a top CIA agent. Other top agents rely on equipment and backup, or on disguises and teams. But he works alone, specializing in assassination and tracking, unmatched by anyone. Unfortunately, this most formidable agent showed mercy during a mission. Because the target's wife and child were present, he hesitated. Hesitation cost him his life, as the target took the opportunity to shoot Bourne several times. Bourne fell into the sea, his fate unknown. Drifting for an unknown period, Bourne was rescued by a kind fisherman who removed the bullets from his back. The fisherman also found a lump on Bourne's back and, out of curiosity, cut it open. Inside was a laser pointer that revealed a Swiss bank account number and password when activated. Bourne woke up and attacked the fisherman.
God damn it, where am I? What are you doing?
Fishing boats, you were in the water. We pulled you out. You are shot. See now the bullet.
Fortunately, the fisherman showed he meant no harm and returned the laser pointer to Bourne, but Bourne had amnesia and didn't know what it was. In the following days, Bourne lived with the fisherman, instinctively doing physical training and questioning his reflection in the mirror about his identity. When the fisherman's boat docked, Bourne decided to go to the Swiss bank to investigate his past. The fisherman gave Bourne some money for the journey, and they parted ways. At the Swiss bank, Bourne retrieved a box he had stored there. Inside was a U.S. passport identifying him as an American named Jason Bourne, currently living in Paris. Just as he was happy to have found his identity, he was shocked the next second. The hidden layer of the box contained passports and cash from various countries, and a gun. Each passport showed a different identity, leaving him wondering what he had done before. His initial joy turned into fear. He hastily packed the passports and cash into his backpack, leaving the gun behind because it frightened him. Bourne's activity at the Swiss bank was noticed by the CIA, who reported it to headquarters. Feeling watched, Bourne panicked and ran, not knowing where to go. At that moment, the Swiss police began to surround him, and Bourne quickly slipped into the U.S. embassy. This was a smart move since the Swiss police couldn't enter. Inside the embassy, Bourne met Marie. Marie was an ordinary civilian who needed money and was denied entry to the U.S. At that moment, a wanted notice for Bourne, who had knocked out two policemen the previous night, was broadcasted. Security spotted Bourne, who remained extraordinarily calm and pretended to surrender, knocking out the security when they were most relaxed. He then threw away his gun and fled upstairs, knocking out another guard and taking his radio. Bourne also grabbed the embassy's fire evacuation map, using the radio's content to evade capture until he reached a window on the top floor. He tried to climb up but accidentally dropped his backpack, so he had to climb down and hide in a corner. The U.S. Marines didn't spot him. After they left, he cautiously climbed down. His calmness was terrifying. He found Marie and offered her $10,000 to take him to Paris. Marie saw Bourne avoiding the police and didn't want trouble, but she needed the money badly. Bourne promised her another $10,000 after the job, and Marie, tempted, agreed to take him. Meanwhile, the CIA was in chaos. Knowing Bourne was alive, they immediately activated assassins in Europe to kill Bourne. Bourne, a top CIA agent, was now being hunted by the agency. Why? It was a mystery. Bourne didn't know danger was imminent. He was calmly analyzing everything, trying to figure out who he was. Though Marie talked non-stop on the way, Bourne liked listening to her. This made Marie more fond of him. They talked about their identities, and Marie thought Bourne was lying about his amnesia. At a rest stop, Bourne showed all his passports to prove he wasn't lying. He also demonstrated his extraordinary observation and analytical skills to Marie.
I can tell you the license plate numbers of all 6 cars outside. I can tell you that our waitress is left-handed and the guy sitting up at the counter weighs 215 pounds and knows how to handle himself. I know the best place to look for a gun is the cab of the gray truck outside. Now, why would I know that? How can I know that and not know who I am?
Marie didn't know how to respond, but she didn't need to. Listening quietly was enough. Unknowingly, they both started liking each other. Though it was still a faint feeling, they soon arrived in Paris. where Bourne found his residence. They were reluctant to part. Bourne took Marie home, and the housekeeper was happy to see him back. Bourne searched for clues in his room but found nothing. Suddenly, he remembered something and used the phone to redial the last call, contacting the Hotel Regina in Paris to inquire about Jason Bourne's stay. They said there was no record. Then Bourne used his French passport name and learned that Cain had died 2 weeks ago. Bourne guessed his identity. He was likely a spy or assassin. Using the Cain identity for a mission, he got killed. But now that he wasn't dead, danger was probably coming. With heightened awareness, Bourne sensed danger. The CIA's top assassin appeared, but he wasn't a match for Bourne, who knocked him out in a few moves. Bourne told Marie to check the assassin's backpack, seeing that they were wanted. Marie panicked. Bourne didn't know what was going on but tried to calm Marie down. Meanwhile, the assassin jumped out the window. Standard training for every agent. A dead body on the street would surely attract the police, so they had to leave. They pretended to be calm and left. Bourne tricked Marie, saying he would deposit money but actually planned to escape alone by train. Marie, holding the car keys and $20,000, also thought about leaving, but both returned to each other. Understanding without words, Bourne suggested Marie go to the police and be honest, not wanting to involve her, but Marie refused. Being alone in a foreign country and wanting to stay with Bourne, to find the truth and his identity together. Seeing Marie's determination, Bourne agreed. Noticing the police tracking them, Bourne drove Marie's car through Paris, showcasing his driving skills. Despite the car's poor power, Bourne's skills made it a weapon. Each drift tested the car's limits, and every staircase showed its endurance, though the car was old. With Bourne driving, it was a miracle. A 360-degree spin allowed him to evade 2 motorcycles and enter a wrong-way street. Soon, all police cars were overturned by oncoming traffic, and Bourne safely entered an underground garage. He told Marie to wipe all fingerprints and abandon the vehicle. Then they found a small motel. Bourne cut off Marie's easily recognizable long hair, and they took their relationship to the next level. When they woke up, Bourne had already wiped all the fingerprints. Next, they went to the Hotel Regina, where Bourne asked Marie to retrieve the records of his previous contacts when he stayed there under the alias Cain. Bourne thought this would be difficult for Marie, who had no spy training. He carefully instructed her on each step, but Marie effortlessly obtained the records. Bourne was curious about how Marie managed it.
I said it was Mr. Cain's personal assistant.
Good thinking.
He then eliminated contacts from other countries, leaving only a security company in Paris. Bourne went to the security company, where they warmly welcomed him. Bourne, under the identity of Cain, had previously purchased a yacht from them, confirming that Cain was indeed his other identity. Bourne returned to Marie, who had learned that Cain was dead and his body was in a morgue. Bourne was shocked. If he was Cain, then who was the body? They quickly bribed an employee to see the body, only to find it missing. The manager arrived and drove them away, but Bourne took the visitor logs. He found that a man named Wambosi had recently visited the body and had also appeared in the security company's records. It was clear that finding Wambosi was the key to everything. When they reached Wambosi's house, they found he had just been killed. French newspapers reported that 3 weeks ago, Wambosi had reported to the police that an assassin tried to kill him on his yacht. That assassin was Bourne. Now, Wambosi's death was naturally blamed on Bourne, but Bourne hadn't done anything and didn't know who wanted him dead. They took a taxi back to the motel, but Bourne noticed the police had surrounded it. He quickly abandoned the taxi and fled, confusing Marie. Bourne broke the window of a parked police car, and Marie realized they were not only wanted by assassins but also the police. Learning that Bourne was an assassin terrified Marie, and she wanted to leave him. Bourne understood her fear and said he would leave her forever, but not there, as it was dangerous. Marie chose to trust Bourne again. Marie took Bourne to her cousin's nearby home, where they spent the night. The next morning, Bourne planned to leave but noticed the cousin's dog was missing. which had never happened before. Sensing they were surrounded by assassins, Bourne quickly told the innocent family to hide in the basement. He found the cousin's shotgun and bullets and broke the outside oil tank. The thick smoke blocked the view of the sniper, the CIA's number 2 assassin. The CIA had found them by analyzing Marie's activities over the past 10 years and Bourne's escape route. What followed was a textbook example of a lone agent's showdown. Bourne moved quickly, preventing the assassin from aiming and forcing him to chase. Bourne lured the assassin into an open field. Realizing too late that he was exposed with only low wheat for cover, Bourne fired into the air, startling a flock of birds, and quickly changed position. Observing the trajectory of the fleeing birds, the opposite direction was where the assassin was hiding. The assassin realized this and tried to move, but Bourne had already spotted him. With a precise shot from the shotgun, the assassin lost the ability to escape. The assassin tried to fight back, but Bourne, without hesitation, subdued him with a shot. Bourne disarmed the assassin and interrogated him about how many others there were. The assassin said he worked alone, just like Bourne, and said some very strange things.
Treadstone, both of us.
Treadstone? What is Treadstone?
They said go to Paris. Said pills.
Treadstone in Paris?
This part is a foreshadowing, to be explained later. Bourne took down the assassin and told Marie to escape with her cousin while he finished an important task alone. He used the assassin's phone to contact the CIA and reached someone named Conklin, his direct superior. Bourne demanded Conklin come alone to meet him at Pont Neuf in Paris, still unaware of Conklin's identity. Seeing Conklin arrive with a lot of men, Bourne didn't show up but instead planted a tracker under Conklin's car. Conklin, not finding Bourne, decided to go to the Paris safe house to destroy all evidence. Conklin had been using this safe house to coordinate with European operatives. Bourne followed them, triggering all the car alarms, and climbed the building unnoticed by the security. He quickly found and subdued Conklin. From Conklin, Bourne finally learned his identity. He was a spy, a $30 million project by the US to create an assassin. He failed in the mission to assassinate a Nigerian leader, Wambosi, and instead, Wambosi captured evidence against the CIA. Wambosi had intelligence on CIA operations in North Africa, using it to blackmail the CIA to support him. The CIA leadership wouldn't support Wambosi, so Conklin sent Bourne to kill him. Wambosi threatened to expose the CIA's operations in North Africa, which would ruin Conklin's career. Bourne's failed assassination led to Wambosi threatening the CIA publicly, so Conklin sent another assassin to kill Wambosi and frame Bourne. The reason for wanting Bourne dead was that Conklin was in charge of Treadstone, a program to train assassins. Bourne's failure, if he had died, would have been the end of it, but since Bourne was alive and roaming around Paris and Switzerland, Conklin saw him as a liability. To prevent exposure of the Treadstone project, they had to kill Bourne. Treadstone was a secret CIA project run by some members for their benefit, without the knowledge of their superiors. This explains why Conklin was later killed by his own superior. Bourne regained his memory and didn't want this violent life anymore. He told Conklin he was quitting, but Conklin said Bourne didn't deserve freedom. Bourne angrily declared that Jason Bourne was dead, as Conklin's bodyguard quietly sneaked in. Bourne grabbed his gun, killed him, and then shot another guard outside. He then escaped by jumping out the window. Bourne left safely, but Conklin was killed by an assassin sent by his superior. The Treadstone project was shut down on Conklin's request to his superiors. Bourne found Marie, and they happily lived together. So Abbott ordered Conklin's assassination, then requested upper management to shut down the Treadstone project, effectively limiting further damage. Abbott was a ruthless character. Besides this, he frequently engaged in corruption and embezzlement. 5 years ago, he and Conklin teamed up with a Russian businessman, embezzled $20 million from the CIA, and sold intelligence, enabling the businessman to buy oil fields. The CIA had been investigating this matter. One day, a Russian politician named Nevsky received this intelligence and contacted the CIA, claiming there was a traitor. Nevsky was subsequently murdered, with the scene staged to look like his wife killed him and then committed suicide. Later, a Russian informant claimed to have evidence of Nevsky's murder and contacted the CIA. Landy arranged a meeting, but both sides were killed. The killer left Bourne's fingerprints, again implicating him. At this time, Bourne and Marie were in hiding in India. Bourne recognized a hitman in town and fled with Marie. Unfortunately, the hitman accidentally killed Marie instead of Bourne. Their car plunged into a river. Bourne desperately tried to save Marie, but she was already dead. He didn't rage or collapse but calmly thought about his next steps for revenge. The hitman believed Bourne was dead and reported back to his boss, the Russian businessman working with Abbott. Bourne left India and went to Naples, Italy. The CIA's London division spotted Bourne and notified the US Embassy in Italy, which detained him. Landy was investigating Bourne's identity, and as her investigation progressed, she discovered Bourne was part of Conklin's Treadstone project. She also found $760,000 in Conklin's account. Suspecting Conklin and Bourne were colluding, this explained why Bourne would kill all the informants. She immediately contacted the US Embassy in Italy. Bourne overheard the conversation and realized the CIA was after him. Bourne once warned Conklin if he sent people after him again, he would retaliate. Unaware that Conklin was dead and Treadstone was shut down, Bourne believed the CIA was responsible for Marie's death. He effortlessly overpowered several guards, then planted a listening device in the ambassador's phone. The ambassador, not being a trained operative, didn't notice the device. Bourne listened to Landy's conversations, believing she was now in charge of Treadstone.
Jason Bourne is armed and extremely dangerous. Last week in Berlin, he assassinated 2 men, one a highly experienced field officer. I want you to secure that area. I want any evidence secured, and I want it done right now. Is that clear?
Yes, sir. Ma'am.
I'm getting on a plane to Berlin in 45 minutes, which means you're going to call me back in 30. And when I ask you where we stand, I had better be impressed.
Bourne didn't understand when he had killed anyone and sought answers in Munich, where he found another assassin. From him, Bourne learned Conklin was dead and Treadstone was shut down. Only he and the assassin were left from Treadstone. After interrogating the assassin, Bourne tried to leave, but the assassin attacked. Forcing Bourne to kill him, one had to die, and until the end, it wasn't clear who it would be. Bourne killed the assassin and then detonated a bomb to destroy all evidence before leaving Munich. He went to Berlin, called various hotels, and discovered where Landy was staying. Bourne called the hotel's front desk, pretending to be someone who needed to speak to Landy, and noted her room number. He waited for Landy to leave and followed her to an office building. Bourne set up a sniper rifle across the street. Preparing to kill Landy, he called Landy to confirm her identity.
Are you running Treadstone?
Treadstone was closed down 2 years ago. You know that.
Then who's planning the missions now?
There are no missions. It's over.
Then what do you want with me?
Berlin. Have you forgotten what happened in Berlin? You killed 2 people, Bourne.
Bourne sensed something was amiss, so he didn't shoot. When he saw Nikki was also there, he said he would only speak to Nikki. Nikki was the Treadstone operative in Paris, later reassigned to the Netherlands, now brought by Landy at the London Square.
30 minutes under the world clock. Send her alone. Give her your phone.
What if I can't find her?
It's easy. She's standing right next to you.
Nikki stood in the crowd, surrounded by snipers. Smart Bourne didn't show up directly. He called Nikki to get on a tram. Landy sent agents on the tram but ordered them to converge when it was leaving their perimeter. Bourne had already taken Nikki away. And from Nikki, he finally learned the truth. Abbott was the final authority of Treadstone. Hearing Nesky's name triggered Bourne's fragmented memories. Bourne vaguely recalled being in Berlin for a mission to kill Nesky. He asked Nikki about it. Nikki, being Bourne's and Conklin's contact, recorded all his actions but didn't recall Bourne ever being in Berlin.
First job.
No, your first assignment was Geneva.
You fucking...
I swear.
I know I was here, Nikki.
It's not in your file. It's not in your
I know I was here!
Could Bourne be mistaken? Bourne decided not to kill her. Landy was getting frustrated. From the intercepted conversations, it seemed like Bourne might not have committed the Berlin incident. Abbott was anxious as the investigation was closing in on him. Landy's subordinate secretly took Abbott to the Berlin power station. He analyzed the killer wasn't Bourne as one of the bombs was left untriggered, purposefully leaving Bourne's fingerprints. Abbott killed him while demonstrating. Bourne continued recalling his Berlin mission. He researched Nesky, checked into the hotel where Nesky was murdered, and remembered the gruesome incident. Nesky was indeed his target, and Bourne killed his wife. who arrived at the wrong time. Why wasn't this mission recorded? Nevsky had evidence of Abbott and Conklin's collaboration with a Russian tycoon, stealing CIA funds. They sent Bourne to silence Nevsky, keeping it secret from others, including Nikki. Bourne was remorseful. Meanwhile, Landy discovered Bourne's location and sent forces to capture him. Bourne escaped the hotel, noticed by local police, and fled into the subway. He avoided capture by crossing tracks during a train's arrival, shaking off the pursuers. Bourne reached the opposite platform and took a train away. As Landy investigated why Bourne was at Nevsky's hotel, Abbott secretly called the Russian tycoon, ordering Bourne's assassination. The tycoon refused. Having given Abbott his cut, Abbott realized it was too late. At this moment, Bourne appears. He already knows that Abbott sent people to kill him, resulting in Marie's death, and he understands why Abbott did it. Although one might expect Bourne to kill Abbott for revenge, Bourne believes that Marie wouldn't want him to do that if she were alive. So, he gives the recording of their conversation to Landy. Landy confronts Abbott. Abbott points a gun at Landy. Then, Abbott kills himself.
I'm a patriot. I serve my country. I'm not sorry.
Landy discovers that Bourne went to Russia, aiming to get revenge on the Russian businessman. Additionally, Bourne wants to apologize to the daughter of the Nevsky couple, whom he killed. The Russian businessman sends the assassin to kill Bourne again upon learning Bourne is in Russia. Bourne is ambushed and shot by the assassin, but local police subdue the assassin, allowing Bourne to escape. The assassin reveals his agent status, so the police return his gun. Bourne is chased again and hijacks a car. Both the police and the assassin pursue him, with the police calling for special forces. Bourne is cornered, and the assassin takes a shortcut, crashing into Bourne. During a high-speed chase, the taxi Bourne is driving is nearly destroyed. They enter a tunnel, where the assassin starts shooting. The assassin crashes into a wall and is severely injured. Bourne doesn't finish him off because Landy contacts the Russian authorities just in time. The police stop pursuing Bourne and arrest the Russian businessman instead. Bourne finds Nevsky's daughter and tells her that he killed her parents, but he was following orders. He also feels he was controlled at the time, and killing wasn't his intention. The girl learns the truth about her parents' deaths and can only cry helplessly. Bourne was captured by the police in Ukraine. He escaped into a medical room near Kiev train station and injected anti-inflammatory painkillers. The drugs triggered more of Bourne's distant memories. Why did he become a Treadstone assassin? Bourne's fragmented memories suggest he was coerced. To become a Treadstone assassin, one had to be brainwashed and injected with drugs, completely transformed into a killing machine without personal identity. Bourne needed to solve this mystery. 2 security guards entered the room, only to meet their doom. In just 1 second, Bourne knocked one out and took his gun. The other guard was too shocked to react and begged Bourne not to kill him. Bourne said he had no quarrel with him and left. 6 weeks later at a CIA headquarters meeting in Langley, Landy played a recording of a conversation between Bourne and Robert for everyone. Landy defended Bourne, but the director saw him as a ticking time bomb, fearing he might expose their scandals to the press, and ordered his capture. Unbeknownst to Landy, there was another program running behind the scenes at the CIA. In addition to the shutdown Treadstone, Blackbriar, proposed and led by Robert, was an upgraded version of Treadstone, adding more authority. If Treadstone targeted overseas threats to American interests, Blackbriar targeted anyone opposing the CIA. Those threatening the CIA's reputation and interests were marked for assassination by Blackbriar trained killers. Though Abbott was dead, Deputy Director Noah Vosen took over Blackbriar. While tracking Bourne globally, Vosen's intelligence network intercepted mentions of Blackbriar by a British journalist named Ross. This triggered the CIA, and Vosen upgraded Ross to a high-priority target.
People, listen up. This is a full priority situation.
Jimmy, give me Ross's profile on 1.
Yes, sir.
Our target is a British national, Simon Ross, a reporter. I want all his phones, his BlackBerry, his apartment, his car, bank accounts, credit cards, travel patterns. I want to know what he's going to think before he does. Every dirty little secret he has. And most of all, we want the name and real-time location of his source. This is NSA priority level 4. Any questions?
Meanwhile, Bourne was following Ross's articles. Initially, Ross was just investigating Bourne's identity. As his investigation deepened, he uncovered Blackbriar. Seeing Marie's name in the newspaper, Bourne remembered their moments together. Though he avenged Marie, Seeing Ross's article on Blackbriar made him realize Marie's death was not so simple. Treadstone's cessation seemed more like a rebranding, likely to Blackbriar. To uncover his past and understand why he became a CIA assassin, Bourne needed to find the journalist for information. He called Ross, arranging to meet outside Waterloo Station. Ross was under full CIA surveillance, every move monitored by Vosen. Learning Ross's destination, Vosen set Blackbriar assassins in place, ensuring Ross's death. At the station, Bourne bought a phone, called Ross to confirm his identity, and noticed Ross was being tailed. Avoiding direct contact, Bourne secretly slipped the phone into Ross's pocket, then called the new phone from afar. Bourne directed Ross to a bus stop where a man was on the phone. Ross was to face this man.
I want you to listen very carefully to what I'm about to tell you.
What the hell's going on?
10 o'clock to your left across the street, there's a silver Chrysler Voyager. There's a surveillance team inside. Directly across the street, 12 noon, there's a man in the second story static post. He's watching you. Now there's a bus stop 50 meters to your left. I want you to walk towards it.
Jimmy, I need that phone. I need it yesterday.
Sir,
he's on the move. He's on the move.
That's not his phone, sir.
Say again?
That's not his phone, sir.
What do you mean it's not his phone?
Patch in.
Where the hell did he get another phone?
Misleading the CIA into thinking he was Ross's informant. Diverting their attention, the man boarded a bus and was drugged by the CIA. While Ross panicked seeing him taken away, Bourne eliminated a surveillance team, trailing Ross quietly. They met briefly, and Ross revealed he learned of Blackbriar from an informant. Ross claimed Blackbriar was an upgraded Treadstone, with Bourne as its first operative. Before Bourne could learn the informant's identity, the CIA arrived, forcing them to separate. Following Bourne's advice, Ross evaded all surveillance and CIA agents. However, Ross was terrified, mistaking a janitor for an assassin due to his tools. Ignoring Bourne's warning, Ross moved, exposing himself to the CIA. Vosen spotted him, sending 2 agents to take him down. Bourne neutralized 1 agent, instructing Ross to hide in a liquor store and lock the door. Ross complied, but another agent intercepted Bourne, engaging in a fight. Revealing Bourne's position to Vosen, Vosen ordered the assassin to eliminate both Bourne and Ross. Bourne scouted the area for safety, but the assassin had set up a sniper rifle behind an ad board. Sensing danger, Bourne tried to warn Ross, but Ross panicked and ran, exposing himself and getting killed. Bourne grabbed Ross's notes and escaped. Staying calm and strategic, Bourne knew the assassin's location but was a moment too late. Watching him board a train and leave, Bourne won this round, gaining vital intel. Vosen recognized the risk of Bourne having Blackbriar information, requesting help from the director. The director ordered Landy to assist Vosen in capturing Bourne. Landy's expertise. Bourne used Ross's notes to identify the informant, Daniels, the CIA's Spain station chief. Daniels, disgusted with the CIA's actions, decided to expose them. Upon hearing of Ross's murder, Daniels anticipated his own death and fled. Bourne found a photo of Daniels with a man, triggering vague memories. Daniels and this man seemed to have recruited Bourne into Treadstone. This middle-aged man seemed to be the head of the laboratory, specializing in training assassins. Snapping out of his painful memories, Bourne realized the CIA agents had arrived downstairs. Landy had taken over the mission and excellently analyzed the situation. They found out Ross had been to Italy to meet his contact in the morning and returned to London by noon. Assuming Bourne was his contact, meeting in both places within such a short time frame was impossible. Noah ordered an investigation into Ross's calls in Italy, but Landy stopped it. She explained that the contact leaking CIA secrets was likely a CIA insider, who wouldn't use their own phone to call Ross. Instead, they identified 3 names by filtering out those who hadn't used their phones during the critical time. Landy instructed her team to search through Ross's belongings, discovering Daniels' initials in a notebook. This led them to conclude that Daniels was Ross's contact. 2 agents entered Daniels' room, noticing the alarm system was dismantled. Noah deduced that Bourne had been there, making the agents proceed cautiously. They suspected Bourne might still be in the room, and tension rose. With a sudden gunshot, 1 agent opened a door, only to find a fan, while Bourne ambushed them from behind, swiftly incapacitating both. Unexpectedly, Nikki appeared. She had been reassigned to work with Daniels in Spain. At that moment, Noah called, and Nikki answered to confirm her identity. CIA agents have 2 code names, one indicating safety, the other signaling they're compromised. After hesitating, Nikki used the safe code name. Bourne asked Nikki how much time he had to escape, and she said 3 minutes, as backup would arrive in 5. She also offered to help Bourne find Daniels, revealing her affection for Bourne. Willing to betray the CIA, Bourne called the local police, reporting gunfire, and fired several blank shots before leaving. This diverted the CIA's backup to deal with the local police, buying them precious escape time. Noah issued a global kill order on Bourne. Landy sensed something was off and suspected Noah was hiding something. She confronted Noah about the Blackbriar program, and Noah, needing her to find Daniels and Bourne, explained Blackbriar in detail. The CIA soon located Daniels hiding in Tangier, Morocco. Noah delayed the capture operation, secretly notifying an assassin to kill Daniels. Landy grew suspicious, intending to report to the director, who deliberately ignored her calls to protect Blackbriar. Without evidence, Landy was powerless. Bourne and Nikki were bonding, and she stammered her reason for helping him.
It was difficult for me. With you.
Bourne understood but remained loyal to Marie's memory. Since they didn't know Tangier's location, Bourne asked Nikki to log into the CIA's mission site. Noah's team had already pinpointed Daniels' exact room and dispatched an assassin. By monitoring the site, Bourne identified the assassin and followed him to Daniels. Nikki messaged the assassin to retrieve a new phone, diverting his path. Noah was puzzled by the assassin's detour. As the assassin collected the phone, Bourne began trailing him. Realizing Nikki's betrayal, Noah ordered the assassin to kill both Nikki and Bourne. Underestimating the CIA, Bourne discovered the assassin had recognized him. Daniels received a call and attempted to leave, but the assassin planted a bomb in his path. Bourne warned Daniels, but the real bomb was hidden in a motorcycle next to him, killing Daniels. The assassin presumed Bourne dead and returned to kill Nikki. Bourne revived and commandeered a motorcycle to rescue Nikki. Racing through rooftops, Bourne was desperate. Nikki, unaware of the assassin's pursuit, dismantled her phone and fled. The assassin followed, seeking an opportune moment to kill Nikki. Bourne arrived to find Nikki's phone missing. Realizing she was in danger, distracted by the police, he evaded them to locate Nikki from a high vantage point, spotting the assassin close behind her. As Nikki fled into an isolated area, the assassin closed in. Nikki attempted a daring escape by leaping from one building to another. The assassin watched from below. Eyes locked on Nikki as she reached another building and rushed up. Seeing Nikki trapped, Bourne leaped across to the other building, determined to reach her quickly. Nikki, noticing the assassin, hid in an empty room. As the assassin pinned Bourne down, Nikki tried to help but was kicked aside, giving Bourne a chance to counterattack. The assassin was skilled, almost matching Bourne's abilities, but Bourne eventually subdued and killed him after a tough fight. Bourne instructed Nikki to text using the assassin's phone, claiming they were both dead. Noah, relieved, ordered local CIA contacts to verify. Bourne and Nikki hid in a motel, where Nikki cut her hair, reminding Bourne of Marie. The next day, Bourne sent Nikki away, knowing the CIA would hunt her down for aiding him, while he had more to do. At the morgue, Bourne found Daniels' belongings destroyed, except for the CIA's New York branch location. Using an old identity, Bourne traveled to New York. Landy's team noticed but only informed her, deducing Bourne wanted to contact Landy directly.
Gilberto de Piento, your party is waiting for you.
Bourne called Landy from a building opposite the CIA office.
Hello, Landy.
I hear you're still looking for me.
Bourne,
What do you want?
I wanted to thank you for the tape. It's all tied off. It's over. I guess I owe you an apology.
Is that official?
No, off the record. David Webb. It's your real name. Bourne?
Something was very wrong here.
Bourne 4/15/71 in Nixon, Missouri.
Get some wristband. You look tired.
Noah, noticing Landy leaving, ordered surveillance on her. Hoping to trace Bourne, Noah personally led the operation, focusing all CIA resources on Landy. While the office was empty, Bourne infiltrated Noah's office, retrieving documents on Treadstone and Blackbriar programs, revealing many illegal assassinations of American citizens. By the time Noah's men returned, Bourne had vanished.
Where to?
415 East 71st Street.
Landy guessed Bourne's next move, the secret assassin training lab, where he sought answers about his past. Stealing another car, Bourne was pursued by a CIA team and cornered, only to be rescued by a police intervention. The CIA fired on the police, forcing Bourne to commandeer a police car, dodging bullets and ramming through roadblocks. Though he evaded most agents, Blackbriar's top assassin arrived, crashing into Bourne. Both injured, Bourne pointed a gun at the assassin but chose not to kill him. Then Bourne arrived at the secret lab, where Landy had been waiting for some time. Bourne handed over the evidence to Landy, showing his trust in her. Just as Landy was about to leave, Noah appeared, prompting her to quickly retreat into the building to fax the documents. By the time Noah reached her, all the information had been sent, signaling the end of his control.
You better get yourself a good lawyer.
Bourne reached the lab, meeting the scientist who had conducted the original experiments.
It was always you.
Why did you pick me?
You volunteered. We didn't pick you, you picked us. Has everything been explained to you? Your missions will save American lives. Said you wanted to serve.
I understand, sir.
You made yourself and know who you are.
It was revealed Bourne had voluntarily joined Treadstone, not under duress, clearing up his past. As his memory returned, Bourne felt disheartened. The assassin arrived again, forcing Bourne to escape through a window. Reaching the rooftop, cornered, the assassin hesitated.
Why didn't you take the shot? Look at what they make you give.
But Noah arrived and shot Bourne, causing him to fall into the sea. The cycle concluded as it began, Bourne falling into the water. In the aftermath, Noah, the CIA director, and others involved in Treadstone and Blackbriar faced legal consequences and lifelong imprisonment.
Everything she says and does. Phones, cars, house. She was cooked the minute she hitched her wagon to Jason Bourne. She aided and abetted an international fugitive. She prevented the agency from shutting down a rogue operation. She violated every oath and code of conduct that matters. For Christ's sake, she brought the son of a bitch back to America. Now, God knows what her motives are, but it's clear that protecting this country is not one of them. That used to be called treason.
The CIA's Treadstone and Blackbriar programs were exposed, but Director Ezra wasn't worried. Even if these two programs were exposed, at most, it would be a CIA scandal. Those responsible for these programs were either dead or injured. The survivors would be dismissed when the time came. It wouldn't affect his position as director. What truly worried him was another CIA program, Outcome, for which he was directly responsible. So, what is the Outcome program? It started even earlier than Treadstone. It was implemented by the CIA in collaboration with Cadent Group, a leading global pharmaceutical company. A subsidiary of Cadent Group, Steris and Morlanta, developed two drugs. The blue pill enhances physical strength, and the green pill increases intelligence. They selected 9 agents, including Bourne, and administered these pills to them. This is why Bourne has exceptional intelligence and incredible physical strength. Unfortunately, the drugs had severe side effects. Stopping them would cause system failure. So, they further integrated the drugs into a virus, achieving a permanent effect by altering the genes. They first conducted the green virus trial. 3 out of the 9 agents died during the trial. The remaining 6 gained the permanent effect of the green pill, making the green pill unnecessary, but to maintain control over the agents. This fact was kept from them. Later, Bourne was assigned to Treadstone, while the remaining 5 were placed in various countries. There were corporate executives in Korea and significant political figures in Pakistan. Among others, one of the agents, named Aaron, was undergoing intense training in Alaska. Director Ezra shared his concerns with CIA senior advisor Mark, who directly liaised with the Pentagon, then approached National Research Assay Group Supervisor Eric Beyer. Together, they met with Terrence, the vice president of CAD Group. They told him that the outcome program needed to be shut down. Terrence didn't understand what the exposure of Treadstone and Blackbriar had to do with outcome. Eric Beyer explained that there was a video online, a social video involving Dr. Hirsch and Dr. Shearing. The former was the doctor responsible for training Treadstone and Blackbriar assassins, and the latter was the pharmaceutical research doctor from CAD Group. The drugs for outcome were developed by him. So, if the CIA's Treadstone and Blackbriar programs were exposed, it would eventually lead to the outcome program. Their so-called shutdown of the outcome program meant killing all the staff and agents involved. While Bourne was causing chaos in New York, they gave 3 outcome agents yellow pills, which killed them silently. Of the original 9 agents, only Bourne and Aaron were left, along with the agents who were about to be sacrificed. Now, back to the main character, Aaron. Aaron was in seclusion training in Alaska, needing to take pills daily to maintain his physical and mental capabilities. One day, he hid his medication and went to the communication station, deceiving Agent Number 3 by saying he had run out of pills and needed more. Agent Number 3 didn't respond because he, too, was a killer relying on the same pills. He told Aaron that headquarters would come to collect Aaron's blood samples in 3 hours. Then they sent their blood samples. At night, while sleeping in the cabin, Aaron saw the names of many agents, including Jason Bourne. The next day, expecting headquarters to send medication, they received a missile that directly killed Agent Number 3. Aaron luckily survived because he was outside. Aaron, though not as skilled as Bourne, was still a top assassin and quickly realized that headquarters wanted to eliminate them. He escaped into the mountains, dug out the tracker implanted in his thigh, and then caught a wolf, putting the tracker in its mouth. The drone then targeted the wolf with another missile. Aaron survived, and the CIA headquarters believed he was dead. Mission accomplished. While the assassins were taken care of, the scientists were next. In the lab, a scientist went mad and killed everyone in the secret lab. Only Dr. Marta survived. Naturally, Eric Beyer and his team wouldn't let her go. They sent assassins disguised as medical personnel to Marta's house to kill her, but Aaron arrived just in time to save her. Aaron eliminated the 2 assassins and reunited with Marta. These medicated agents had to go to headquarters for checkups periodically, and Marta was one of the doctors examining them. The 3rd assassin quietly went upstairs, and Aaron asked Marta to cooperate. When the assassin came up, Marta distracted him while Aaron, hiding by the door, shot and killed him. Aaron then asked Marta for the pills. Marta, confused, said she had no pills and didn't know what was happening. She was just a pharmaceutical analyst and had nothing to do with drug production. Aaron realized it wasn't the time to argue, so he doused the house with gasoline and handed a lighter to Marta. The fire drew the attention of the agents outside, and Aaron and Marta took the opportunity to escape. In the car, Aaron explained to Marta that everyone involved in the outcome program was being eliminated. Marta didn't know about the outcome program or that her research reports were evaluated by the CIA. She had no idea the subjects of her drug tests were being turned into assassins worldwide. She was an innocent bystander, targeted just because she was part of the outcome program.
You don't know where they are, you don't know anything, that's fine, just get out. You got a plan, right? Yeah, of course you do. You're a doctor, you've got this all worked out, don't you? What are you gonna do? Huh? What are you gonna do? You can't run, not alone. You don't know how. You certainly can't hide, not from people like this. With the resources they have, you won't make it a sundown, so what's that leave you? You can go public, sure. You can go loud. Call your sister, because that worked out well for you. Call some ex-roommate. Call a guy that knows a guy at the Washington Post. Put it online, because you know what? You blow me off, that's the only play you've got. But you better ask yourself this. Could you ever say it loud enough or fast enough that they'd be too afraid to finish what they started?
After hearing Aaron's explanation, Marta calmed down. She told Aaron that the drugs were manufactured in the Philippines. Aaron was devastated to hear this. He hadn't taken the green pill for 51 hours and only had half a blue pill left. Marta explained that the green pill was no longer needed since they were injected with the active virus a year ago, permanently enhancing their physical abilities. Aaron was shocked and then delighted. The CIA had deceived him into thinking he needed to keep taking the green pill to control him. Now, he only needed to inject the blue pill's live virus, and his intelligence would be permanently enhanced, freeing him from the CIA's control. Using fake identities, they flew to the Philippines. In the hotel, Aaron revealed his background. During the draft for the Syrian expedition, Aaron was initially rejected due to his low intelligence, but the draft officer, needing to meet the quota, added 12 points to Aaron's score to make him eligible. As a result, Aaron went to the battlefield and was soon paralyzed by an explosion. Eventually, the CIA found him and recruited him into the outcome program. The blue and green pills gave him a new life but also took away his freedom. Meanwhile, the CIA's Eric Byer mobilized almost the entire nation's resources to find Marta.
The drugs he's looking for there or not?
Terry? No, there's nothing there. The government made a run in 16 weeks. Besides, we wouldn't store the pills there anyway. It's basically a kitchen, and we tweak the recipe and we bake up a batch when we need it.
Wait, then what the hell are they doing?
The stems are there.
She's gonna try to viral him out.
They discovered that Aaron was helping her escape. The two had entered the pharmaceutical production facility, and Marta injected Aaron with the blue pill's live virus. Terrence quickly called the plant manager, who said he had already sent people to check, but all of them had been taken up by Aaron. The two escaped into the crowd of workers, and Aaron triggered an alarm by damaging equipment. Thousands of workers fled, and the two took advantage of the chaos to escape. The plant manager was knocked out by Aaron, who also took his gold watch. They hadn't gone far when Aaron started to fall due to the virus, so Marta quickly found a hotel to take care of him. Aaron, with his last bit of consciousness, told Marta that if he didn't make it, she should hide and not get caught. At this time, Eric Byer released his ultimate weapon, the Larks program, a program more powerful than all previous ones.
Larks 3 is in Bangkok. It's a 2-hour flight.
Wait a minute. Just hang on here. I thought that was just a proposal.
Get him out there.
An assassin was sent to the Philippines, and at the same time, the Filipino police, notified by Interpol, began to hunt down Aaron and Marta. The next morning, Aaron woke up to find Marta gone. Marta had gone out to buy medicine and discovered that a large number of police officers were surrounding the hotel. It turned out that the hotel owner had called the police the night before. Aaron didn't know he was surrounded, and Marta shouted, Because of her shout, Aaron was able to escape. Although Aaron didn't have Bourne's extraordinary skills, he was still a top assassin, and escaping from the police was easy for him. As for who was stronger between him and the Larks assassin, that would soon be known. On the other hand, Marta, being an ordinary person, was quickly caught by the police. Aaron descended from above, tackling a police officer, then quickly knocked out another with a few punches. Marta looked at Aaron with admiration. The two then hijacked a motorcycle while the assassin took a police car. Aaron realized there was an assassin after them when he saw him shooting. The assassin was forced to stop, and Aaron made the motorcycle fly. The assassin quickly took another motorcycle and chased after them. Jumping onto yet another motorcycle, Aaron put on a display of speed and skill, but even so, he couldn't shake off the assassin. Aaron was shot in the leg, and the assassin, taking a few bullets from Aaron, fell into a vegetable patch. The assassin seemed unharmed, suggesting that the Larks assassin's drugs were exceptional. The chase continued to the docks, where Aaron was exhausted. It was up to the unarmed Marta to take down the assassin. But they both took a hard fall, and Marta pleaded with a fisherman to help them. Otherwise, Aaron would surely be caught by the police. They escaped to the sea, but their lives would inevitably be spent on the run from then on. Mickey arrives at a hacker base in Iceland and manages to hack into the CIA system. She plans to copy incriminating files about the CIA from over the years, aiming to bring down the agency. The files include not only the Treadstone and Blackbriar programs but also many other covert operations. While copying the files, Mickey discovers a shocking secret. The Treadstone project was initially started by Bourne's father. Mickey hurriedly copies the data, but an alarm goes off at the CIA headquarters, indicating the breach. Heather Lee, the head of the CIA's cyber division and a hacking genius, immediately traces the breach to Iceland. Heather also discovers that the hacker base in Iceland was supposed to have been dismantled years ago but is now in use. Heather quickly starts intercepting Mickey's data transfer and implants a tracking virus in the files. She then orders the power to the hacker base to be cut. Mickey realizes she's been discovered, unplugs the hard drive, and destroys the computer before leaving. Through forensic analysis of the computer usage, Heather deduces that the user is a female around 30 years old. She cross-references recent entries of 30-year-old women into Iceland and uses facial recognition software to match them with the database of high-risk individuals. Heather eventually identifies Nikki and tracks her heading to Athens. CIA Director Dewey panics upon hearing this news. Rumors suggest that this data leak could be even more catastrophic than the Snowden revelations, potentially leading to the impeachment of the president, let alone his own job. He quickly contacts the Secretary of Defense to discuss a plan and decides to send agents to eliminate Nikki. Heather Lee sees an opportunity for a promotion and volunteers to lead the mission. Dewey, seeing that the Secretary agrees, has no choice but to approve. However, Dewey secretly also sends out an assassin to ensure the mission's success. Meanwhile, Nikki is desperately searching for Bourne and eventually finds him in Rome. Since escaping by jumping into the water, Bourne has been hiding out in Rome, making a living by participating in underground fights. He has been haunted by guilt for voluntarily joining the Treadstone project. Nikki, not wanting to see Bourne continue to suffer, tells him the truth about his past. They agree to meet at Syntagma Square in Athens. Heather Lee also tracks Nikki to Syntagma Square. At that moment, a protest is taking place in Syntagma Square, providing excellent cover for the meeting. However, the protest soon escalates into a riot. With the situation chaotic, Bourne and Nikki attempt to escape.
Jason, I came here because I found something. I found your father's name in the Treadstone files.
He was an analyst. He wasn't in operations. He wasn't near any of that stuff.
I'm telling you what I saw. It looked like he was involved directly. And there's more. More about you.
What do you mean?
Before you joined the program, they were watching you.
Watching me?
You've tortured yourself for a long time now, Jason. You torture yourself for what you've done. But you don't know the truth about what they did to you. You need to read those files.
Move. They tracked you.
They decide to split up and meet again at the statue of Athena. Bourne throws a Molotov cocktail to create a diversion and takes down 2 agents in a swift attack. Bourne's skills are as sharp as ever. Likely enhanced by the blue and green pills from the Treadstone program that permanently boosted his intelligence and physical abilities. Local police, noticing the disturbance, join in the chase. The violence escalates, and Nikki loses her way in the crowd, pursued by multiple CIA teams. Without Bourne's combat skills, she can only run. Bourne hijacks a motorcycle and speeds through the chaos, arriving just in time to rescue Nikki before she is captured. But the assassin arrives and, with the help of the CIA's surveillance network, shoots Nikki. Bourne risks his life to save Nikki, but she knows her time is up. Nikki throws the hard drive to Bourne and takes a bullet for him. Bourne escapes with the files, foiling the CIA's plan. Bourne then heads to Paris. As Nikki had mentioned, she was working for a French hacker named Christian. Bourne is the only one who can unlock the hard drive he holds. When Bourne finds Christian, he's still somewhat angry. Christian sent Nikki to hack into the CIA network, making him partly responsible for Nikki's death. But Bourne suppresses his anger and threatens Christian to unlock the hard drive. As soon as the hard drive is unlocked, a CIA alarm goes off. They've detected Bourne's location and quietly send a team to surround him. Upon discovering that the Treadstone project was initiated by his father, Bourne is overwhelmed with grief. The detailed files suggest that Bourne's voluntary entry into the Treadstone project might be false. Before he joined, Bourne was being secretly monitored for suitability for the Treadstone project. His father knew about it but didn't tell him. Did his father consent to send him to the Treadstone project? Bourne then tracks down the person who monitored him, Malcolm. This reminds him of what his father had said.
I've done something. Something. It came at a cost. One day you'll understand why. I gotta get back to Washington.
After his father left, he was killed by terrorists. So, Bourne joined the Treadstone project voluntarily to fight against terrorists. to protect his country and its people, but now he realizes it was all a lie, and he must uncover the truth. Christian attacks Bourne, but Bourne kills him. Christian wanted to expose all these plans to the public, but Bourne stays true to his principles. He doesn't want to expose the CIA. He just wants answers. After killing Christian, he returns to the computer, only to find all the data deleted by Heather Lee. Heather Lee remotely deleted the files using a nearby phone. Director Dewey calls Bourne. At the same time,
Jason, this is Robert Dewey. Do you remember me?
Jason, your dad was a patriot.
He could see the threats that America was facing, and like you, he chose to serve his country
Out of a profound sense of duty.
He would not want to see you harm the agency.
You have to stop this. And you have to stop it now.
Heather Lee secretly sends Bourne a message to escape, which is puzzling. She doesn't know Bourne personally. She only learned about him through the Treadstone files. So why help him? Thanks to her timely warning, Bourne has a chance to escape. Director Dewey's plan fails again, and he can't understand why. They then discuss the next steps with the Secretary of Defense. They predict that Bourne will go to London to find Malcolm, so they plan to ambush him. But Heather Lee suggests something that annoys Dewey. Don't kill Bourne, but try to bring him back. She argues that Bourne has always been seeking his identity and never had intentions of treason. The secretary agrees, and Dewey can't argue. Dewey has more pressing concerns than killing Bourne. The Iron Hand Project. The Iron Hand Project is executed by the Deep Dream Corporation, which the CIA supported. Deep Dream is an internet giant with access to vast amounts of user data. The CIA uses this to monitor everyone, leaving users with no privacy. In a country that values freedom, if people discover their privacy is being violated, it could lead to massive unrest and even bring down the current president. Deep Dream's CEO, Aaron Kahlur, is worried about his company's involvement after learning about the CIA hack. He starts distancing himself from the CIA, refusing to follow Dewey's orders. Dewey then decides to eliminate Aaron publicly. He uses state power to pressure Aaron. Secretly, he prepares an assassin to kill Aaron. At this moment, Bourne arrives in London to meet with Malcolm. Malcolm no longer works for the CIA but is being threatened by them to cooperate in killing Bourne. Malcolm meets Bourne at the square, and of course, Bourne knows it's a trap. As a top-tier operative, he's prepared. He cuts the power to the square, causing everyone in the surrounding buildings to rush out in a panic. Bourne takes this opportunity to take Malcolm away. Dewey's plan to have the assassin take out Bourne in the square fails again.
He hired you to put me under surveillance. Why?
Don't say anything, Smith.
Why would he have you follow me? The last time I saw my father.
Don't give him a goddamn thing.
I went there to tell him that Treadstone had approached me. But if it was his program, why didn't he say anything to me? Why was he killed?
Think about your family's safety, Smith. You keep your mouth shut.
Why?
Your father, he wasn't in operations. He didn't know we'd chosen you. When he found out, he threatened to expose the program. He didn't want you turned into a killer.
This reveals the ultimate truth of the Bourne series. Bourne's father wasn't killed by terrorists. He was murdered by the CIA to ensure Bourne would join the Treadstone program. At this moment, the assassin arrives, and Bourne recognizes him as the one who killed his father. The assassin goes down to confirm if Bourne is dead but finds only Malcolm's body. Bourne escapes and gets into Heather Lee's car. Heather Lee drives him away, and Bourne learns from her that Dewey is heading to Las Vegas for a cybersecurity conference with Aaron. Heather Lee's intention to take down Dewey isn't to help Bourne. She doesn't know Bourne personally. She helps him because their goals align. The only explanation is that Heather Lee is ambitious and sees this as an opportunity to climb the ranks. But that's just a theory. With Heather Lee's help, Bourne forges an identity and heads to Alaska. Dewey has arranged for an assassin to kill Aaron here, unaware that Bourne would show up. Heather Lee secretly plants a tracker in Dewey's pocket before they go on stage. The assassin, disguised as a server, sets up his sniper rifle in the ventilation duct. He's ready to kill Aaron on Dewey's command and then shoot Dewey to clear his name. But Dewey receives an urgent call, asking Aaron and Heather Lee to take the stage first. The CIA's tech department has discovered Bourne in Alaska and also realized Heather Lee is helping him. Dewey then orders the assassin to kill Heather Lee as well, but Aaron exposes his identity on stage. Intending to pose as a victim, he claims he was coerced by the CIA into leaking user data. Dewey orders the assassin to act immediately, but Bourne, who has intercepted the CIA's earpiece, bursts into the conference room. Aaron survives, and Dewey's plan fails again. Dewey's subordinates advise him to retreat, but Dewey insists on returning to the hotel. However, Bourne reaches his room.
You didn't come here for revenge. You came here because you know it's time to come in. Your father created the program, didn't have what it takes to make it work, and you did.
I volunteered because I thought our enemies killed him. I volunteered because of a lie.
No, you volunteered because of who you are. You volunteered because you are Jason Bourne and not David Webb. You're never gonna find any peace. Not until you admit to yourself who you really are. It's time to come in, Jason.
Dewey is then killed by Heather Lee, achieving her goal. But Bourne has one more task: to find and kill the assassin. The FBI controls the hall, making it impossible for the assassin to escape. He kills a lone soldier and steals an armored vehicle. Bourne, realizing this, also takes a car and pursues him. The chase ends in a bar where the assassin abandons the car and tries to flee. Bourne catches up in the underground parking lot, determined to kill him quickly. Though the assassin is strong, Bourne is unstoppable. In the end, Bourne kills the assassin. Heather Lee gets into the secretary's car, revealing she and Aaron were close college friends. She claims she can persuade Aaron not to expose the Iron Hand project and to continue cooperating with the CIA. However, she has one condition: she wants the secretary to appoint her as the new CIA director. The secretary jokingly asks her about Bourne.
After what we went through,
And if he can't?
he'll have to be put down.
Whether Heather Lee becomes the CIA director is unknown. All we know is that when she meets Bourne, she tries to convince him to stay and work for the CIA. Bourne doesn't respond directly and walks away. When Heather Lee returns to her car, she finds that Bourne has recorded her conversation with the secretary. Shocking her, the movie ends there.